Hi everyone, welcome to update 1 of my new Pan That Palette series. So in this series, I'm trying to pan the retro palette from Natasha Denona. Before I show you what's in here, I'm going to quickly go over now what is now the companion palette, the Subliminal Mothership 1 from Pat McGrath. So I've been trying to pan this in the last almost 10 months, and I've been using it as a companion palette to the retro Natasha Denona. So let me go over my usage in this palette. In the last month, I have used this shade twice, this shade twice, this shade once, and this topper shade 7 times. I just love this so much. You can see there's a huge dip forming now, and it's what's currently sort of used as a topper because it's a topper shade on my eyes. I adore this shade. This is by far probably my favorite out of all these, although they're all near and dear to my heart for different reasons. But yes, so I used this so many times this last month. I used the black 14 times, and finally there's a tiny dip starting to show. I don't know if you can tell or not, but anyway, I use it as an eyeliner or to darken up my crease, and slowly and steadily I'm making my way through this shadow to hopefully hit pan. Didn't use this once. Use this blue surprisingly a total of 5 times. You can see also a dip happening in there as well. And then this shade, this other white topper shade 4 times. So there is also a dip, tiny dip, but there's a dip happening in this. So I have not forgotten this palette. I'm going to keep going with it, but I just don't focus on it. I pick it up when I need a certain shade from it, but it's not far from my mind, and I still love it so much. Okay, so for the main event, Natasha Denona Retro Palette. Ta-da! So this is my progress on the palette after about 5 to 6 weeks of use. Actually have used it quite a bit, and I'm filming late. So this is about 6 weeks of usage on this palette. I don't know if you can tell, this particular shade is the one with the, or sorry, this one, what am I doing? This one has the most use. You see a big dip there? So I'm really happy about that shade, but obviously no pans yet. It's my first month that I've used it. I'm going to start tracking each shade once again like before, so you can see the progression of each shade as I use them. Yeah, I don't think I did it in my intro video, so this is going to be the starting footage. I'm also going to put a comparison picture just so you can see maybe there's some visual differences, but I doubt you'll be able to see it too well. So after using it for a whole month and more, I have some thoughts. Okay, so bear with me, I have a lot of thoughts. Okay, so first is, used to pan this star palette from Natasha Denona quite a while ago, and this formula was her original formula. It's the one that, you know, made her famous. Is the one that where the palettes are so expensive, extraordinarily expensive, and since then she's sometimes she's downgraded to a midi palette where the pans are smaller and the prices for the palettes are a lot cheaper. So I will say, just from my limited experience of using this one and a few others, this formula is definitely slightly not inferior, but less. This quality is higher. The bigger pans quality is higher than the midi pans. I will say there's a very noticeable difference on my part of the qualities in these pans. These pans have better quality. That said, this is still a very good palette. It's definitely better or the same as a lot of other brands I've tried, but it's not wowing me. It's not wowing me. This wowed me. This is just making me happy. I'm happy to use it, but it's a more regular formula, if you will. It's still beautiful. It's just not wow material. It's not wowing me like this did, but I love it and I'm happy to pan it, and there's nothing wrong with the formula. It's just good. It's just good and great. Some shades are great, but it's not wow. Okay, I hope we understood that. You know what I said though, I did highly enjoy using this palette. It was so user-friendly, so easy to blend, felt very creamy in my fingers. I did love it completely. The first month was a big success. And let me go over each shade just in a general manner, and then I'll do sort of the B-roll focusing on each shade and tell you more about them. But just looking at this palette in general, there were two pale pinks. I was very confused because they looked exactly the same. Two pale pinks. I was like, Natasha, what are you doing? She always does this where she repeats shades. But once I swatch them, I don't know if you can tell in the camera here, this has a slightly gold shift and this has a slightly icy shift. So this one is a warm pink and this one's a cool pink, which is kind of cool. So I did enjoy finding that out. I hope you can tell. So the warmer pink on this side and then cooler pink. So I did really like that, and it's very beautiful. I will say they're so frosty though. I can pretty much only use them on the inner corners. And the camera's not doing it justice. It's quite sparkly and pretty in real life. But I don't see myself using them any other way. If you have any recommendations, let me know. I find it too pale to put on the kind of centers of my lid, but I may try that still just to see what it looks like. But those are the two pinks, very, very pretty. These two mattes are beautiful, very smooth, and interestingly enough, I use them a very similar amount of time, but they behave very differently in the pan. So this color is obviously slightly darker, so I use this to highlight, and I use this to gradient down the space of my eye, and then to meet the crease shade. So I use these in a combo all the time, and I've used them together very much, but yet this is showing such a bigger pan than this one. So that just goes to show you it's you know, really different experience when you're trying to pan eyeshadows. This is just so much more tightly pressed than this one, and for whatever reason, maybe the pigment, but yeah, so this is harder to pan, this is easier to pan. I've used them almost the same amount of time. Another standout is this shimmer. It's such an easy shimmer to reach for. It's called Jude, and I absolutely love it. Look how beautiful that is. Another quirk I have found to Natasha Denona palettes and shades is that almost quite often what I find is once you get to a deeper layer of the shimmers, especially the shimmers, they turn darker than on the first layers. So in the beginning, this shade was quite light, almost too light for me. I didn't like it because I wanted it to be darker. I wanted to have more impact. And now it's starting to be darker. It's so bizarre. It happened with the Star palette as well. So I don't know if you've experienced that, but I find a lot of Natasha Denona colors, they turn darker over time. Maybe they're oxidizing, interacting with the air, I'm not sure, but I found that to be the case. So I'm hoping actually that that does happen to this shade as well. This is the shade Helio because I find it a little bit too light to begin with. But yeah, it is starting to turn a bit darker as well, which is so interesting. If you even look at my initial swatches, even in the intro, you'll find that the two shimmers were lighter in that video. So I don't know what it is. I'm happy about that. I don't know if other people would be, if you prefer these shades to be a lighter shade for your skin tone. But I enjoy the fact that they are darker, but they're noticeably darker, like 2 shades darker than when you first use them. So I found that really interesting and good for me in a way. Another thing is, this is the darkest shade in the palette called Apart. And I do use this to kind of deepen up my my outer corners. You can see it's quite deep, and there is a nice dip going on. You'll be able to hopefully see the close-ups in my B-roll. But interestingly, I found that, and here again, so strange. So you would think this is also the other darker shade in the palette called Rebellion. But I found that Groove, this shade, was even darker than this. So I've just swatched them now. I'm going to put them over here. So this is the darker looking one, and this is the lighter one in the pan, and then this is the shade Apart, as I mentioned. So this is the shade Apart, but look at the depth difference, and they look so different in the pan. This looks darker. This is Rebellion, but Rebellion is actually this shade, and Groove, which looks lighter than this one, Groove is actually this shade. So, I mean, I don't know why that is. Her pans, her swatches and shades don't show true to pan. I'm happy about that once again, because now I can use this shade as well as a darkening shade. When I pack it on, it almost looks black. It almost looks reddish black, which I love. So I'm really happy to have two deep colors to work with that have different tones within the same palette. So I'm very happy about that. But, you know, you may not be, because if you thought this would be a darker shade, it's not. And as well, I did need a black. I wish this palette had a black to finally take any look to the deep dark level, which is why I'm happy to be reaching into my Pat McGrath for the dark black shade. But that is kind of a general overview of this palette. I really have enjoyed using it. These are kind of the star colors I've been reaching for, and I really enjoyed using them and loving them. So goals for the next month: I want to use every shade at least once again. You think that'd be easy, but that's 15 shades. I don't always get to be able to use every shade unless I really kind of force myself. And I want to use my essential shades, the shades that are starting to have big dips, a total of more than 10 times. So that would be Maud, Vivian, Apart, Nude Mauve, 1, 2, 3, 4, and Jude, because I just love this so much. I love this shimmer. I love these mattes. So that's what I'm focusing on. But I definitely want to explore the red and the purples quite a bit more as well in the next month and build some basic looks around that. But I want to kind of really get going on hitting some pans and having some kind of momentum going. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on this month. So now let me roll the B-roll of each shade so that you know where we're starting off this month. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.